What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a talk show expecting a professional interview and instead finds himself face to face with a host who seems determined to tear him down? It only took 34 seconds of cameras rolling before everything exploded in the most shocking talk show meltdown anyone had ever witnessed. Samuel L. Jackson sat down on that couch with a smile on his face. He had been on hundreds of talk shows before. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be fun. Kelly Clarkson had her notes in front of her. The audience was cheering, and the lights were bright and warm. Everything seemed normal, but normal was about to go out the window. Kelly started with what seemed like a simple question. So, Samuel, I've been hearing some things about your latest movie. People are saying it's not your best work. What do you have to say about that? Samuel laughed it off. He's a professional. He's handled tough questions before. Well, Kelly, I'm really proud of this film. We worked hard on it. The whole cast and crew put their hearts into it. I think people are going to love it. But Kelly wasn't done. She leaned forward with this look on her face, this smirk that said she had something up her sleeve. That's interesting because the reviews I've been reading say it's, and I quote, a disaster. How does that make you feel? Does it bother you that you're in a disaster? The audience went quiet. You could feel the tension building. Samuel's smile faded just a little bit. I don't think it's fair to call it a disaster before people have even seen it. Critics don't always get it right. Kelly laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, come on, Samuel. Let's be honest here. You've been in some really bad movies. I mean, some truly terrible films. Do you ever look back and think, wow, I really shouldn't have done that? Samuel shifted in his seat. His jaw tightened. Every actor has films they're more proud of than others. That's part of the job. But I stand by my work. Do you, though? Kelly shot back. She was not letting this go. Because I watched some of your older stuff, and I have to say, I was laughing at parts that weren't supposed to be funny. Like, were you even trying? The audience gasped. A few people made uncomfortable sounds. This was not normal talk show banter. This was something else. This was an attack. Samuel took a deep breath. You could see him trying to stay calm. Kelly, I'm not sure what you're trying to do here, but I came on this show to talk about my new project. If you want to have a real conversation about film and acting, I'm happy to do that. But I'm not going to sit here and be insulted. Kelly rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes at Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, please, don't be so sensitive. I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what interviews are for? Or do you only want people to blow sunshine at you? There's a difference between asking tough questions and being disrespectful, Samuel said. His voice was steady, but you could hear the anger underneath. I've been doing this for decades. I know what a real interview looks like. This isn't it. Kelly sat back in her chair and crossed her arms. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you've been in this business so long that you can't handle anyone challenging you anymore. Maybe you think you're too important to be questioned. The audience was dead silent now. Nobody was clapping. Nobody was cheering. Everyone was watching this train wreck happen in real time. Samuel looked directly at Kelly. I don't think I'm too important to be questioned, but I do think I deserve basic respect. And right now, you're not showing me any. Respect? Kelly laughed again, but this time it sounded mean. You want respect? You walk in here like you own the place, like we should all be grateful you showed up. Newsflash, Samuel. You're not that special. That was it. That was the moment. Samuel stood up. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just stood up and started taking off his microphone. I'm done here. Kelly looked surprised, like she didn't think he would actually leave. What? You're just going to walk out? That's pretty unprofessional. Samuel stopped and turned back to her. You know what's unprofessional? Inviting someone onto your show and then spending the entire time trying to humiliate them. You know what's unprofessional? treating a guest like garbage for no reason. I've sat through uncomfortable interviews before. I've dealt with hosts who asked hard questions. But this is just mean. I'm not being mean, Kelly insisted. I'm being honest. Maybe you just can't handle honesty. No, Samuel said firmly. You're being cruel. There's a difference. Honesty is asking me about my process or my choices. Cruelty is mocking my work and suggesting I don't try. I've worked too hard and too long to sit here and take this from someone who clearly has no respect for what I do. Kelly's face was turning red. You could tell she was getting angry now, too. Oh, so now I don't respect actors? That's rich coming from someone who's made millions, playing the same character over and over again. Samuel just shook his head. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to stand here and trade insults with you. That's not who I am. Then leave, Kelly said, waving her hand dismissively. If you can't handle a little criticism, then go. Nobody's forcing you to stay. You're right, Samuel said. Nobody is forcing me to stay, and I'm not going to. He finished taking off his microphone and handed it to one of the crew members standing nearby. Good luck with your show. But Kelly wasn't done. Even as Samuel started walking away, she kept talking. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't handle anyone pushing back. You're so used to everyone treating you like a legend that you've forgotten how to be a normal person. Samuel stopped walking. He turned around one more time. Kelly, I've been nothing but polite since I walked in here. I answered your questions. I tried to have a conversation. But you've spent this entire time attacking me for no reason. That's not pushing back. That's not challenging me. That's just you being nasty. And I don't know why. I don't know what I did to deserve this treatment. But I'm not going to stick around to find out. Maybe it's because actors like you think you're above criticism, Kelly continued. Maybe it's because you've been famous for so long that you've lost touch with reality. Did you ever think about that? The audience was shifting in their seats. Some people were looking at each other with wide eyes. Others were staring at the floor. This was uncomfortable for everyone. Samuel took a breath. I've never thought I was above criticism. I've been criticized my entire career. But there's a way to do it that's professional and constructive. What you're doing right now is neither of those things. You're just being hurtful for the sake of being hurtful. Oh, I'm being hurtful. Kelly's voice was getting louder. That's funny coming from someone who's made a career out of playing tough guys and saying whatever he wants. But the second someone says something to you, you fall apart. I'm not falling apart, Samuel said calmly. I'm choosing not to participate in whatever this is. There's a difference. Kelly stood up now, too. She was facing Samuel across the stage. You know what I think? I think you came on this show expecting everyone to worship you. And when you didn't get that, you couldn't handle it. Samuel shook his head slowly. That's not what happened here, and you know it. I came on this show to talk about my work. You turned it into something else entirely. That's on you, not me. I'm just doing my job, Kelly insisted. I'm asking questions. If you don't like the questions, that's your problem. Your job is to interview people, not to attack them, Samuel replied. And you've crossed a line. Multiple lines, actually. Kelly threw her hands up. So now I've crossed lines? Because I dared to ask you real questions instead of soft ones? Give me a break. They weren't real questions, Samuel said. His voice was still calm, but you could hear the frustration building. Real questions would have been about my process, about the film, about my career choices. You weren't asking questions. You were making accusations disguised as questions. There's a huge difference. Well, maybe your career choices deserve to be questioned, Kelly shot back. Maybe someone needs to finally say what everyone's thinking. Samuel looked at her for a long moment. And what exactly is everyone thinking, Kelly? Please, enlighten me. That you're overrated, Kelly said. Just like that. No hesitation. That you've been riding on your reputation for years. That people are afraid to call you out because of who you are. but I'm not afraid." The audience gasped again. Louder this time. Someone in the back actually said, "Oh my God," out loud. Samuel's expression didn't change. "You know what, Kelly? You're entitled to your opinion. If you think I'm overrated, that's fine. But inviting me onto your show just to tell me that? That's not brave. That's not bold. That's just rude." "Maybe someone needs to be rude to you," Kelly said. "Maybe that's the only way to get through to people like you." "People like me?" Samuel repeated. "What does that mean? What kind of person do you think I am?" Kelly hesitated for just a second. "People who think they're untouchable. People who think they can do whatever they want and never face consequences." Samuel nodded slowly. "I see. So you've decided that I'm this terrible person who needs to be taken down a peg. And you thought ambushing me on your show was the way to do that." "I didn't ambush you," Kelly protested. "Yes, you did," Samuel said firmly. "You invited me here under false pretenses and then spent the entire time attacking me. That's the definition of an ambush." Kelly's face was getting redder. "I invited you here to have an honest conversation. If you can't handle honesty, that's not my fault." "This isn't honesty," Samuel said. "This is hostility, and I'm done with it." He turned to walk away again. "Fine, leave," Kelly yelled after him. "Run away. That's what people do when they can't defend themselves." Samuel stopped one more time. He took a deep breath and turned around. "Kelly, I could defend myself. I could stand here and list every award, every great review, every successful film. I could talk about all the young actors who've told me I inspired them. I could bring up every director who's wanted to work with me. But what would be the point? You've already made up your mind about me. Nothing I say is going to change that." "Because there's nothing you can say," Kelly said. "The truth is the truth. The truth is that you're being unnecessarily cruel to someone who came on your show in good faith," Samuel said. "The truth is that you've turned what should have been a pleasant conversation into a confrontation. The truth is that I have every right to walk away from this situation, and that's exactly what I'm going to do." "You know what your problem is?" Kelly asked. "You can't admit when you're wrong. You can't accept that maybe, just maybe, you're not as great as you think you are." Samuel looked at her with something like sadness in his eyes. "Kelly, I've never claimed to be perfect. I've never said I was the greatest actor who ever lived. But I do know that I've worked hard my entire life. I've shown up. I've given my best effort to every role. And I've treated people with respect. That's all anyone can do. And if that's not good enough for you, then I don't know what to tell you." "It's not good enough," Kelly said, "because you're phoning it in now. Everyone can see it. You're just collecting paychecks." Samuel's jaw clenched. "You don't know anything about my work ethic. You don't know anything about what I put into my roles. You're making assumptions based on nothing." "I'm making observations based on watching your movies," Kelly countered. "And those observations tell me that you're not the actor you used to be." "Even if that were true," Samuel said slowly, "and I'm not saying it is, but even if it were true, what gives you the right to be so disrespectful about it? What gives you the right to invite me here just to tear me down?" Kelly didn't have an answer for that. She just stared at him. "That's what I thought," Samuel said quietly. "You don't have a good reason. You just wanted to be mean. You wanted to feel powerful by making someone else feel small. Well, congratulations. You've made this incredibly uncomfortable for everyone involved. I hope it was worth it." "Don't try to make me feel guilty," Kelly said. "I'm not the bad guy here." "I never said you were the bad guy," Samuel replied. "But you're certainly not being kind. And in my experience, when you have the choice between being kind and being cruel, you should choose kindness. You didn't do that today." Kelly crossed her arms again. "Maybe kindness is overrated. Maybe what people need is someone who'll tell them the truth, even when it hurts. There's a way to tell the truth without being hurtful, Samuel said, but that requires actually caring about the person you're talking to. And it's pretty clear you don't care about me at all. I'm just a target for you. A way to get attention. A way to make yourself look tough. That's not true, Kelly said, but her voice was less certain now. Isn't it? Samuel asked. Look at what you've done here. Look at how this interview has gone. You haven't asked me a single genuine question. You haven't shown even a tiny bit of interest in what I have to say. You've just attacked, and attacked, and attacked. Why? Kelly didn't answer. The audience was completely silent. Even the crew members looked uncomfortable. I'll tell you why, Samuel continued. Because somewhere along the line, you decided that being harsh was the same thing as being interesting. You decided that controversy was more important than connection. And that's sad. It's sad for you, and it's sad for everyone watching. Don't psychoanalyze me, Kelly snapped. You don't know me. You're right. I don't, Samuel agreed. But I know how you've treated me today, and that tells me everything I need to know. Kelly's hands were shaking now. You could see she was getting really upset. You think you're so much better than me, don't you? You think because you're this big movie star that you can just judge me? I'm not judging you, Samuel said. I'm responding to how you've treated me. There's a difference. Well, maybe you deserved it, Kelly said. Her voice was getting shrill. Maybe you deserve to be knocked down a few pegs. Samuel looked at her with something like pity. Nobody deserves to be treated the way you've treated me today. Nobody. I don't care who they are or what they've done. Everyone deserves basic human decency, and you haven't shown me any. Because you don't deserve any, Kelly shouted. The audience actually jumped. You come in here with your attitude and your ego, and you expect everyone to kiss your feet. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pretend you're some kind of hero when you're just a regular person who got lucky. The room went completely still. Someone coughed. That was the only sound. Samuel took a long breath and let it out slowly. Kelly, I've never asked anyone to kiss my feet. I've never asked to be treated like a hero. All I've ever asked for is respect. The same respect I give to other people. And if you think that's too much to ask, then I feel sorry for you. Don't feel sorry for me, Kelly said. Her voice was breaking now. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. Okay, Samuel said simply. If you say so. He turned to walk away for the final time. That's right, just leave, Kelly called after him. Just walk away like you always do when things get tough. Samuel paused at the edge of the stage. He didn't turn around this time. He just spoke over his shoulder. I'm not leaving because things got tough. I'm leaving because there's no point in staying. You've made it clear you're not interested in having a real conversation. You just want to fight. And I don't fight with people who don't respect me. Life's too short for that. And then he walked off the stage. The cameras followed him as he headed toward the exit. You could see Kelly standing there, still on the stage, looking angry and confused, and maybe a little bit scared. The audience didn't know what to do. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. They just sat there in stunned silence. Samuel reached the door and pushed it open. The bright lights from the hallway spilled onto the stage. He walked through and let the door close behind him. And just like that, he was gone. Kelly stood there for a few more seconds. Then she looked at the cameras. Then she looked at the audience. Her face was red. Her hands were still shaking. Well, she said, trying to laugh, but it came out wrong. That was unexpected. Nobody laughed with her. The audience just stared. Some people looked angry. Some looked disappointed. Some just looked confused. I guess, Kelly continued, stumbling over her words now. I guess we'll take a commercial break. We'll be right back. But the damage was done. everyone had seen what happened. Everyone had watched Kelly Clarkson attack one of the most respected actors in Hollywood for no real reason. Everyone had seen Samuel L. Jackson try to be professional and polite, while she kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And everyone had seen him finally decide that enough was enough. The cameras cut away, but the audience kept sitting there. You could hear people whispering to each other. "What just happened?" someone asked. "Why was she so mean to him?" another person said. "He seemed really nice," someone else added. "I feel bad for him." Backstage, Samuel was already in his dressing room. He was sitting in a chair, taking deep breaths. A crew member knocked on the door. "Mr. Jackson, are you okay? Can we get you anything?" Samuel looked up and gave them a small smile. "I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I think I'm just going to head out." "Of course," the crew member said. "I'm really sorry about what happened out there. That wasn't okay." "No, it wasn't," Samuel agreed. "But it's not your fault. You were just doing your job." "She's never acted like that before," the crew member said. "I don't know what got into her." Samuel shrugged. "Sometimes people have bad days. Sometimes people make bad choices. It happens." "You're being very gracious about this," the crew member said. "What else can I do?" Samuel asked. "Getting angry won't help anything. It's over now. I'm just ready to move on." The crew member nodded and left. Samuel sat there for another minute, then stood up and grabbed his jacket. He walked out of the dressing room and headed for the exit. A few other crew members saw him and looked away, embarrassed. One person mouthed, "I'm sorry," as he passed. Samuel just nodded at them. He pushed through the backstage door and found himself in the parking lot. His car was waiting. He got in and sat there for a moment, just breathing. Then he started the engine and drove away. Back on the stage, Kelly was trying to continue the show. She had other guests scheduled, but everything felt wrong now. The energy was completely off. The audience was cold. Even her team seemed uncomfortable. During the next commercial break, her producer came over to talk to her. "Kelly, what happened? Why did you go after him like that?" Kelly shook her head. "I don't know. I had these questions and I thought, let's be real. Let's be honest." "But you weren't being honest," the producer said. "You were being cruel. There's a difference." "Why does everyone keep saying that?" Kelly asked, frustrated. "I was just asking questions." "No," the producer said firmly. "You were attacking him from the very first question, and he handled it with way more grace than you deserved." Kelly's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean for it to go like that." "Then why did you do it?" the producer asked. Kelly didn't have an answer. She just stood there, looking lost and confused and upset. The cameras started rolling again, and she had to pull herself together. But everyone could tell something had changed. The rest of the show was awkward and strained. The other guests seemed nervous. The audience stayed quiet. Nothing felt right. When the show finally ended, Kelly went straight to her dressing room. She sat down and put her head in her hands. What had she done? Why had she done it? Samuel L. Jackson had been nothing but professional. He had shown up ready to talk about his movie, and she had turned it into a disaster. She thought about how calm he had stayed, how he had tried multiple times to salvage the conversation, how he had given her chance after chance to back off and be kind, and she had thrown every chance away. She had kept pushing and pushing until he had no choice but to leave. And the worst part was, he had been right. About all of it. She had been cruel. She had been disrespectful. She had treated him like he was less than human. And for what? For ratings? For attention? To prove some kind of point that didn't even make sense? Kelly looked at herself in the mirror. She didn't like what she saw. She had become the kind of person who hurt others for no reason. The kind of person who valued conflict over kindness. The kind of person who would rather be mean than be decent. And Samuel L. Jackson, the man she had spent 20 minutes attacking, had walked, away with his dignity intact. He had stayed calm. He had stayed respectful. He had drawn a line and stuck to it. He had shown more character in leaving than she had shown in the entire interview. The phone in her dressing room started ringing. It was probably her agent, or maybe her publicist, or maybe someone from the network. She didn't answer it. She just sat there, thinking about what she had done, and wondering if there was any way to take it back. But of course there wasn't. It was done. It was over, and everyone had seen it.